Social media is one of the main ways that artists and entertainers gain an audience these days. For the rest of the 2020s, you can expect your experience on social media to be fundamentally different from the last entire decade of social media growth. So the changes that I'm going to outline in this video directly impact all artists and entertainers, and if you watch until the end of this video, you should have a massive edge on any artist who doesn't know what I'm going to tell you about. Let's get into it. How content recommendation engines work today is vastly different from how they worked through the 2010s. So I'd like to take you back to April 21st, 2010. It was on this day that two engineers from Facebook gave a presentation at the yearly F8 conference where they walked attendees through what is arguably the most open look that we've ever had as to how a social media algorithm worked when they detailed Facebook's EdgeRank algorithm. To sum it up, they basically told everybody that content on Facebook that you see when you open your newsfeed was shown based on a number of metrics. Every post or piece of content in Facebook was considered an object. Any interaction with that object was considered an edge. So if someone commented on a video, that created a new edge. And when you opened Facebook and your newsfeed appeared before you, you were shown content based on a number of factors having to do with these edges. The first being the affinity score between you and the original poster or the person who created the last edge. If Facebook determines that your interests closely align with the original poster, that pushes it up in the newsfeed. Overlaid on top of that was a time decay vector, ensuring that the newest content would be pushed to the top of your newsfeed, that which was more relevant to you at that time. Every comment, like, and share is an edge. So the more comments, likes, and shares, the more edges, the more affinity scores, the higher up in your newsfeed it would rank. What we learned on that day, and what was the common knowledge for social media marketers for years after it, was that recency of content was important, that engagement was incredibly important, and that these two factors played a role with each other, such that if you had a post that was years old but randomly started getting tons of engagement, it might show up in your newsfeed. But if you have a very new post that doesn't get any engagement for the first 2 hours, it might just fall to the wayside and never be shown again. Any social media that had a feed which was generated by a content recommendation engine was assumed to have a similar formula to Facebook's EdgeRank. For the longest time, social media marketers preached about posting consistently so that you always had a fresh time vector, and then trying to get engagement on that post as quickly as possible so that it kept bumping up to the top of the feed. But on YouTube, this type of content recommendation engine was never assumed to be the operative factor behind what you saw in your YouTube search results and in your YouTube recommendations bar when you're watching a video. On YouTube, the dominant metric that pushed videos into search results and recommendations has been watch time. But if they showed it to people in search results or in recommendations, another factor was at play, which was click-through rate. So your thumbnail of your video and the title of your video had to be enticing enough to get a high click-through rate. When you combine high click-through rate with watch time, it's very beneficial for YouTube. They not only get people to start watching the video, but they continue watching the video so YouTube can serve more ads, which means YouTube's gonna show it to more people, so on and so forth. And now we get to why I'm telling you this, why I'm telling you about these two separate formats for content recommendation. So let's look at some cold hard facts. The main source of audience for artists in the 2020s is social media, of which TikTok is the fastest growing. And as a result of TikTok's success, every social media app is now copying TikTok. They're copying how TikTok serves what content and how it presents that content to you. So we went from a feed on Instagram, the dominant way that you were served content, to a full screen vertical video format where you're swiping through videos. On YouTube, we got YouTube Shorts, another full screen vertical video format intended for mobile where you're swiping through videos. If you can understand the reasoning behind why these apps are copying TikTok, then you can exploit it to your advantage for the next decade. Now, there are tons of cringy, washout music biz never-wers who are aggressively wagging their fingers at you about how algorithms work. You need to know how social media algorithms work. I don't want to be one of these people. Nobody outside of the engineers of these social media platforms understand how the algorithms work. So we can only speculate. Here is my opinion. what I believe is behind TikTok's wild success. TikTok has effectively combined the two dominant content recommendation engines that I told you about at the beginning of this video. They've taken the watch time importance from YouTube and combined it with the engagement from Facebook and Instagram. On top of that, they've created a content experience that takes up your entire phone screen. And instead of swiping down a feed, you're swiping through individual bits of content. So each piece has your full attention the entire time that you're watching. So number one, I believe TikTok trains its content recommendation based on watch time. I've spent time as a passive user of TikTok. I've begun to understand how it's serving me content. And I think the most important feedback that TikTok gets from users is how long they stay on a video. Not all users are going to comment, like, or follow. It's not a dominant behavior on the platform, but watch time tells no lies. If I stick on a video for longer than another one, you can be almost certain that it is because I enjoy that video more and it speaks more to my interests. Whether TikTok is learning about what you like as a user or it's trying to determine how effective a piece of content is, it's using watch time to do that. But how does it know what a video is about so that it can learn more about you as a user? That brings me to point number two. I don't think TikTok relies on the text in a post or the comments that a post gets over time to understand what the video is about. Instead, I believe the platform is using artificial intelligence to not only transcribe the entire video so it knows any words that were said in the video, I believe it's also identifying people in the video, objects in the video, camera angles, settings to determine what the video is about. This includes text on the screen, this includes text on objects in the video. I believe that TikTok turns all of this data into text-based tags and then categorizes videos thusly so it can determine generally what a video is about. If a user likes content that is presumed to be about that topic in the past and then they pay a lot of watch time to this video, it's going to get recommended to more people who like that topic. That's a confirmation, an unambiguous positive signal that, hey, this video is probably about this thing and people who like that thing really like this video. This is probably the lowest risk way for TikTok to understand the popularity of videos and the potential of videos in terms of signals. Just because I don't like a post doesn't mean I didn't like it. You would know if I spent a lot of watch time on that post that I actually did like it. I'm just not someone who likes or comments a whole lot. So great, right? TikTok not only can determine what content is about, just like YouTube can, but it also places an emphasis on watch time, just like YouTube does. But it's a social media network, so it also relies on engagement to a certain degree. Who cares? The reason that you should care is that right now, TikTok is in its Wild West phase still. I don't know if you were around for Facebook in the early days, but you could pretty much build a Facebook page with like 1 million followers pretty easily just by posting organic content. Eventually, Facebook had to monetize, and so all of that free organic reach that people were getting on their posts got downranked, and Facebook started charging for ad space. My argument is that a similar era is at play for TikTok, and that has forced Instagram, which is owned by Facebook or Meta, to re-enter a golden phase. Because of that era that TikTok is creating in order to compete with all of the other social media platforms, people really want to use TikTok because you might just get famous on it because it has so much juiced organic reach. That's forced Instagram to dial back some of the limited reach that it's had in the past. So on Instagram Reels, you're getting a lot more reach than you otherwise would have in the Instagram feed a few years back. And that's important because on TikTok, posts do not need to be incredibly popular to show up in your feed. As you scroll through videos, you'll start to see less popular content the deeper you go. Sometimes you'll get served new content from small accounts pretty much immediately. So if you're trying to gain an audience on these new vertical video focused social media platforms, there's an opportunity to grow insanely fast right now because of these factors. And so here is where I want to give you the edge over all the other content creators, artists, and entertainers trying to grow an audience right now. So number one, now more than ever before, the first 3 seconds of a video is the most important real estate on social media. Having a great opening hook, whether that be text on a screen or something that happens in the video in those first 3 seconds, is of immense importance. So tip number one is to spend a majority of your effort on crafting the perfect 3-second intro, a hook that gets people to watch your videos all the way through. Anything you can do to hook people in to watch the entire video is going to give your video a far wider reach than you otherwise would have gotten. Comments, likes, and shares are falling to the back of the line. Consumption, watch time is probably more important now than ever before. So that's tip number 1. Focus on watch time, focus on the first 3 seconds, hook them in, get them to watch to the end. If you can get them to watch again, even better. Tip number 2, there is an opportunity to grow a large following that hasn't existed for over a decade, for all of the reasons I've gone over in this video. By focusing on creating short form content that encourages watch time and replays, you can grow a large following organically. So this tip is about not fading the opportunity. I don't want to create short form content. I just want to jaw off like this video for hours and hours. But there exists a massive opportunity to get people into your world if you can just put your ego to the side and say, I'm going to accept this challenge. So tip number 2 is to not cool guy this opportunity. And then tip number 3, this is the device where content exists today. Vertical video is not going anywhere. Stop creating content and web experiences for this aspect ratio. You should be thinking mobile and vertical first, and that comes to your content. It also comes to how you design your website. Make no mistake, this should be your primary focus. If you can dominate that, then the world is your oyster. Tip number 4, spend dedicated, concentrated time using these platforms as a user. I could never have understood what I want to create on these platforms, how I want to seize this opportunity, if I didn't spend time as a user, as much as I hated it. Go on TikTok, go on YouTube Shorts, go on Instagram Reels, and just swipe. Over the days that follow, you'll start to think, you'll start to formulate what you like about it, what you learn from it, what people are doing, what you could do that's like what they're doing, but a little bit different. All of your ideas when it comes to dominating these platforms will come from your use of these platforms. So if you haven't used them, get over yourself and just do it. I did. Ultimately, I found that vertical video is a new art form with its own set of aesthetics. I've started to realize how I want to create for this format, but you'll never get that until you become a power user, until you actually experience what it's like for the people who use these platforms. And there's really a lot of cool stuff that you can do, a lot of really cool opportunities that exist in this landscape today. It is so new, and you can carve out your niche in it as long as you jump in and start understanding why it's happening. If you like this video, if it was helpful in any way, please like the video so that other people know, hey, people like this. Subscribe so that you get more of these videos as we put them out, and turn on the bell notification. I've been Circa for Indapreneur and Full Stack Creative, and if you subscribe, I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.